punishment and a layer of protection that can keep people safe, thus exposing society to an atmosphere of insecurity. Thank you. Now I stand for cross-examination.
Morning. All right, so you said that sentencing people to life imprisonment instead of death penalty will lead to prison break. Could you please explain the logical link?
If we do not have these people killed, like, removed from the possibility forever, then these would occur. It has a higher possibility of people breaking into prison if they're alive.
Breaking into prison, okay, sorry.
Breaking out of prison, sorry.
Next, you say, do you have any evidence, any at all, that the death penalty has deterrence in any way? No? Yes?
Are you going to give Okay, doesn't matter. Just as I said in my...
So you don't? Or you do? Ask your team to give it to me later. Thank you.
Okay,
so next, you said a lot about how people feel secure of the death penalty. Do you have any evidence that the Taiwanese people feel secure of the death penalty?
Oh, and there's a public opinion poll that says, most people are in support of keeping the death penalty, and I believe that is...
We also have that poll, and
yes.
In that poll they asked people why they think this works, and they said it was because they believe it holds deterrence. However, you have no conclusive evidence of deterrence. Do you believe that these beliefs still hold true when there's...
We infer, just as you inferred from US to Taiwan, we infer,
okay,
yes.
Next, okay. You talked about how this will deter crime in some way. Could you please explain that?
In some way, say like, okay, I'm really angry at someone, I want to kill him. So if I'm gonna, be fined for a single $1, then I would probably kill him. But if I'm gonna be, killed, if I kill him, I would probably think twice.
Sorry, so you're saying impulsive murders can be deterred by punishment?
Not only impulsive murders, I'm only giving a single example. Other murders or other capital crimes that are fit for capital punishment can also be deferred. Do you want me to list other examples?
Can you give me an example how other punishments would not also give some form of deterrence as you mentioned? Thank you.
Thank you.
Second affirmative constructive speech. 4 minutes.
The theory of deterrence is based on 4 things. The first is that you know the death penalty exists. The second is the belief that you will be caught. And the third is that you believe that even if you are caught, you will be in the small percentage that is actually executed. And the fourth is that you are analyzing all of this before you pull the trigger. However, we have evidence that 88% of killers are impulsive, which means they do it on instinct. They just snap for a second. They don't think about all of this. And only 8% are premeditated killers who actually analyze the situation, which means that their main argument, which is deterrence, actually doesn't work that well. And secondly, their evidence for deterrence that they just gave us right now, it's a story about one case where someone regrets killing because that she is scared of deterrence. But we believe that is only one story, and that is not convincing enough. So they actually have no real evidence for that. And thirdly, they claim that they're concerned about the safety of prison break. Well, we believe the safety of prison break can be bettered by making more guards post there, bettering the security. Just because you are scared of a prison break does not mean you kill all the prisoners. So their solution does not match their problem. Their problem can be solved in many other ways. Read the affirmative, believe that life imprisonment would be a much more meaningful punishment than the death penalty. First, we should sentence offenders to life imprisonment with strictly controlled conditions of parole after they have completed a minimum of 25 years. After 25 years, the parole board, which already exists in status quo, will review psychological and psychiatric examinations, their behavior during their time in prison, and previous criminal records. If the parole board decides that the offender is not ready for parole, the sentence will be extended in 5-year intervals until the offender is no longer a threat to society. Secondly, during their time in prison, prisoners will be required to work in factories to benefit the economy. If the prisoner does not cooperate, it will be recorded as bad behavior, therefore delaying their time of release, and we believe this will motivate prisoners to cooperate and work hard. And also, working in factories will give them a stable life after they are released, which, with a steady income, they will be much less inclined to commit crimes. Furthermore, our plan also aims to lower the recidivism rate. According to the National Institution of Justice of America in 2005, 56.7% of criminals who reoffend do it within their first year. To address this issue, the first year after their release, they will be required to check in once every 2 weeks with a parole officer. And also, for the first year, they will be required to wear an ankle monitor, which means they can still go to work or school, but they cannot leave designated areas, and the government can track their position anytime necessary. Using life imprisonment instead of the death penalty will give convicted persons an opportunity to prove their innocence if they are wrongly convicted. Our justice system is far from foolproof, and it is necessary for the government to give convicted people a chance to prove their innocence. Without this opportunity, there will be more deaths at the hands of the government. Life imprisonment is a much more meaningful punishment than the death penalty. With the death penalty, the criminal does not need to feel anything. They're euthanized and released from the world. It's not holding them accountable. They don't have any responsibility. However, if they're sentenced to life imprisonment, they will need to cope with their regret and their guilt before they truly start to repent. Life imprisonment, which means freedom and happiness deprived, and they're also working in factories to benefit the economy, which serves as an appropriate form of punishment. They will learn about their mistakes and their damage. Living with regret and remorse is the way to true repentance and a lesson learned. By replacing the death penalty with our policy, the government can prevent violent crimes before they even happen, which will effectively create a great society with the least harm, which is much safer than their model. Thank you. I now stand ready for cross-examination.
First, negative, cross-examine, second, affirmative.
So you mentioned that impulsive killer 80% or something that they don't think before they snap. But I have two questions for you. One, is impulsive killing the majority of those who are sentenced to capital punishment? Because as far as I'm concerned, these most of the time do not actually get sentenced to death. So how do you respond to that?
Exactly. We don't sentence to death because it's not a proper form of deterrence. That is why we don't use it.
No, it's different. You are questioning the deterrence effect, but if these people are in the first place not suitable for the punishment of death penalty, then we cannot say it has a deterrent effect to these people because they are not meant to deter them.
By law, they are allowed to be executed, that is.
But the deterrence effect goes beyond the laws, don't you agree?
Please explain, goes beyond the laws.
Okay, doesn't matter. Next question then. So, are you saying that the deterrence effect is only not working with impulsive killers?
We believe there is no conclusive evidence, and
I know that we have no conclusive evidence. I'm just asking you, do you think that the deterrence effect is only not working with impulsive killers?
we do not believe the deterrence actually works well.
Because you mentioned impulsive killing, and then others.
Exactly.
People who think about it before they commit crimes, do you believe that they are also not thinking about it? Say like composing?
Actually, I believe that the people who planned their murder and still do it, they actually focus on how not to get caught.
Okay.
Because they're probably aware of the death penalty.
So if they're not smart enough, they just don't do it. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry. So you mentioned that they will be, released on parole once they are, say, suitable for parole. So what is your standard for suitable for parole?
As we've said before, the parole board, which exists in status quo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second, negative, constructive speech, 4 minutes.
Honorable judges, fellow opponents, good morning. We, the negative team, are strongly positive that the death penalty should be abolished. First of all, the affirmatives have mentioned that they are trying to lower the recidivism rate in their new alternative plan. And first of all, we would like to mention that the recidivism rate in Taiwan is extremely high. According to the Ministry of Justice, those who commit crimes again on parole stands 36% of the total criminals. And those who commit crimes on release stand 30% of the total criminals. We believe that this is a danger to society. And they have also mentioned that to lower the recidivism rate, they will have an ankle monitor put on the criminals. But in fact, this can only catch criminals after they commit the crime. This cannot stop them while they are doing the crime. This cannot prevent them from doing harm to the society. And we also believe that locking up criminals does not stop them from causing harm to both the prison and the society. An example is of the Kaohsiung prison riots, where 6 inmates sentenced to life imprisonment seized weapons and held the wardens hostage, at the same time wounding many. This is yet another danger of keeping capital crime criminals behind bars. No matter the chance of parole, their attempts to escape are problematic to the prison itself, causing harm to other prisoners or wardens. As for far-reaching damage to society, for instance, the Taiwanese gang leader Guo Xingyi has managed to contact and send orders to his gang members inside the prison to commit crime, whilst through wardens. Another case, Tavo White, an American gang leader, reported made $16,000 USD from smuggling drugs and cell phones into prison with help from his accomplices. Keeping dangerous criminals in prison does not only create chaos within the prison, the harm is far-reaching and causes indirect problems within the society. Next of all, we still believe that the opinion of people is relevant in this matter, whereas the law and the penal code are created for people. According from the polls of the Ministry of Justice, people's opinions on abolishing the death penalty seem to have become unanimous. In 2012, 86% of the Taiwanese people favor death penalty, and the percentage is rising regularly. If the people don't believe in the penal code, then its existence becomes questionable. We believe that it is an important factor because the law is to set a norm of how decent people should act. If it is not based on the ethics that most of the people believe in, then there's no way to carry out the law. Having a look at the polls, an